I had the torpedo heater sitting outside through the spring and summer, and I had it covered in a tarp, but it wasn't completely secure. Hey tool tubers, robswrenches. I did a precursory inspection on this Remington 44,000 BTU forced air multi-fuel torpedo heater. I'm going to reenact what I found, after I opened it up and taken a look. Some of the items I'm going to use, I was looking up parts for it of things that I thought might have been wrong with it, like the photo cell, or maybe the rotor going out, wearing out or something like that. But before I ordered the parts, I wanted to take a look and see what condition the heater was actually in. Now, the first thing that I found after I brought it back in, having sat outside under the eaves of the garage through the spring and the summer, was contaminated fuel. So I took a length of vinyl hose and siphoned it out, and this was the apple pie that came out of it. So it got moisture inside of it, although I'm not sure. I had it covered with a tarp, although it wasn't secured very well with any hooks or anything like that, any bungee cords. I still thought that it didn't catch any water inside of it. But looking at the vent cap there, or looking at the cap, there's a small, tiny little vent hole in it, or on it, and I guess that is just enough, to capture some moisture. But I don't know how much it was from sitting outside, or just over the years of me going between kerosene and diesel, depending on the price. More often than not, I would use diesel in this, but if kerosene was cheap enough, and I had plenty and all of the heaters filled up, I would throw kerosene in here as well. I think kerosene burns a lot cleaner than the diesel, so there's less smoke, less vapor or anything like that, as this burns. So I would switch back and forth, if I could afford to put kerosene in it, then I would. If there's a hurricane somewhere around the country and the price of fuel, ramped up, then like kerosene went up to $3.99 a gallon, but diesel is far cheaper, so I would opt for diesel instead of the kerosene, and just reserve the kerosene for the kerosene heaters themselves. I wish I had access to some JP8 or something like that, back in the Army days. But the tools that I used are this cordless screwdriver here. I haven't taken the fuel lines off or anything like that, but I have the hose pliers there. I have a small flat-bladed screwdriver, so I can break the seal on the hoses. I have a length of brake line with some hose attached to it, because I don't have a whip hose for my compressor or anything like that for the inside of the garage. My air is piped to the side of the garage leading outdoors. I don't have a short hose for inside, to blow anything or anything like that, so I'll be doing that by mouth, and I'll use this length of hose and brake line to do that. 5/16 nut driver. All of the bolts on here are 5/16. I've got some brake cleaner, some multi-purpose, WD-40 type of lubricant. My inspection camera, I had the clamp there to clamp the vinyl hose over to the side so I could make sure that I got all of the contaminants out of the tank. If you look inside of the tank, if you can see in there, I've got quite a bit of rust buildup and a little sludge in the bottom that I'm going to have to clean out of there. You know, so that'll be my next step. I don't have any solvents or anything like that, man. I'd kill to have a long brush or something. I think I used to have one for a dryer vent, but I don't know where the hell it is that I could get inside and reach in there real good. This is the Syntek digital inspection camera from Harbor Freight. This is the bottom of the line one that doesn't record or anything like that. Takes 4 AA batteries, and I wish somebody would come up with a 6-volt, you know, battery. I've got 4 rechargeable batteries in here, but I wish somebody would come up with a, you know, a battery attachment that you could just clip in here, you know, like an M12 or something like that. That would be sweet. Okay, so on this camera, the light is, you know, the 12 o'clock position. That's the up position, you know, and this doesn't rotate or swivel, you know, so kind of makes it difficult to orient yourself. You got to make sure that the LED light is on top or is at the 12 o'clock position, so you'll know which way is up, which way is down. Otherwise, you know, you're trying to rotate the image with the button here, and you know, it's a pain. Other than that, you know, I like the light. It's functional. It works well. So I went in and took a look with the inspection camera. There you can see the sludge. Let me try to get you a better view here. So that's all the sludge in the bottom of it, and I wanted to see what condition the rest of the tank was in. So took a peek and, you know, saw that, you know, over 16 years there's been some rust buildup, and I know that's not from all over the spring and the summer. You know, this has been over the decade that and a half that I've had this thing, you know, with moisture in the fuel and all that good stuff. So, oops. So I took it apart to take a look at the condition of the internals, and what I actually found was that the rotor wasn't moving at all itself. So I'll go over what I actually did up on my cursory inspection. Again, everything is 5/16. Let me see if I can get you a better view here. I've got it propped up on the lid of that styrofoam container there. So 6 bolts on the top, 6 fasteners. This would help if I put it in the proper direction. These are not that bad to deal with. They're really very simple. I found a website. It took me forever in a day because this thing is so old it's obsolete. Now initially I said that it was manufactured by Pinnacle. And that's who currently has the contract now. Relax, Shyla, for crying out loud. There you go, look. But now they're made currently by Pinnacle. At the time that this one was manufactured, it was manufactured by a company called DESA, D-E-S-A. And they did Radiheat, they did Remington, they did, you know, maybe about 8 or 10 different brands, you know, of the heaters. And they're all, you know, pretty much essentially the same thing. The parts vary based on the BTUs. You had 40, 50, 75, 80, 100, and so on. You know, so looking for parts for this one now. All of the part numbers have changed, and I couldn't find any manuals or diagrams. I have the manual for this somewhere. I never throw them away. You know, I file them away. And I couldn't remember where I put it. I thought I had it out here, but everything in Remington that I had out here, I have an old Remington pole saw, and I have a Remington string trimmer, and those were the manuals that I had in the garage. You know, so I didn't want to go rambling through the house or anything like that. I went online to go look and see if I could find another manual, and the only place that I could find one was by All Parts, Equipment, and Accessories Incorporated. It's an outfit out of Martin, Michigan, and they had the manuals and the wiring diagrams, you know, for this model. So if I need parts, that's who I'll be ordering them through. Even though I found another place that overall I matched, you know, what parts I thought I might need, you know, and there's a $3 difference, $3 more going with this outfit. But since they were the ones that had the manual, you know, I'll throw the business that way. So take the cover off, and the back of the rotor housing. Okay, the first thing I found was that the rotor wouldn't spin. You know, so when you plug it in, when I plugged it in, and you saw it yesterday where it just kicked in and then died, is because the rotor wouldn't spin at all. So I thought that it was maybe either the photocell or the igniter. Well, I'm sure that if this wouldn't spin, that's an issue. So, looking further, come on, dock on it. All right, we'll take this cover off. All right, here, this is the port. This is where you test your fuel pressure at. This one is a 3-gallon tank, and its fuel pressure should be at 3 psi. I didn't test it last year, but that's where you make an adjustment, and I didn't suspect that it had any issue with the fuel pressure. But that is the fuel pressure test port right there. Behind it is a filter. Now this is filled with all kinds of carbon, and I didn't know what it should look like. I didn't know if it was black or not until I looked at a picture of the parts and what the replacement part looks like. And yeah, this is way overdue for replacement or service, you know. So brand new, they come white, and this is the condition that it's in. All right, so that's full of soot and carbon, so I'll be ordering that brand new. Next is the vane behind the rotor itself. All of these screws are all the same length. You know, there is no mixing them up or anything like that. So there's a total of 6 screws. And there's another filter sitting right here that is just as sooty as the original one. All right. So that's a little filter right there that needs to be replaced, and you can see all the carbon buildup around it. So I pop this apart, carbon on the surface inside. So I'll clean that up with some brake cleaner. I do have some acetone, but this is non-chlorinated, so I don't think it'll damage anything. Let's see there. I'll take this line off and blow it. And again, since I don't have compressed air, then I'll just use this length of brake hose. Hopefully the diameter is not that bad. Alright, so I just want to break the seal with this flat tip. And then I want to get some penetrating oil down in there just to lube it. I'm going to do the same up here at the fuel lines. In here is an atomizer. I'm hoping that that's not gone. This is the igniter itself. It's a little charred on the side. I'll try to get you a little closer at some point. But I'm going to try, to see if I can get it to fire up. Whether it does or not, this thing is 16 years old, and it's showing its age, so I'm going to replace it anyway. That's the most expensive component on here, short of, buying this whole motor itself. But the rotor, let me see if I can get you down here. All right, that's what I found in the rotor. What the hell is that? Looks like a scorpion in amber or something like that. So that's why the hell it was seized up. It wouldn't rotate because it had that in there. So these are the vanes. Come on, stay in there. Okay, so those are the vanes that push the air, as the rotor spins. Maybe I should let this back down to make it level again. Stay in there. All right, so that was one issue that I found. Just a second. All right. Now, get myself a cotton swab and some brake cleaner. Good gravy. I don't know what the hell this was. Was it a bug or spider or something that got in here and then keeled over? And it happened over the winter months that it stopped. I was actively using the thing, when it stopped. So I don't know. I don't know how this bug or whatever the hell it was got in there. Whatever contaminant or debris. No clue how it got in. Is that right? Maybe not. Let's see here. There we go. I don't know what the hell that was, but whatever it was sticky as all get out. Whatever it was sitting on the bottom here, and it's, you can feel, just feel how sticky it was. So need to clean that off so it's got a smooth surface still to go over. And don't tell me I need a scouring pad or something. Okay. Let's pull you off of here. All right, whatever it was, it's stuck there as well. So that vein doesn't even drop. So that needs to be cleaned off as well. And the interior surface. All right, so let me clean this up and I'll get right back with you. All right, I cleaned up the brake, the rotor vanes with some brake clean and got them to move freely. Now I still got whatever the hell is on the surface inside of here. And this was my smallest non-marring scraper. So I've had to resort to a trim tool to pull the rest of this garbage out of here. It seems to be working pretty good. Breaking up whatever adhered to this surface. I didn't want to use anything metal and, you know, damage the finish of this surface. Otherwise I'd be having to buy yet another part. So just scraping through that. That's pretty good. And that's just the color of the graphite, I suppose. That is a lot smoother. A lot smoother. So we'll give that a shot. I only have a little bit of, about 3/4 of a gallon of kerosene. I got a little bit of gasoline. I'm going to try to wrench the can out. Or maybe some acetone. I have some acetone as well. So I'll try to wrench the can out before I put some fresh fuel in there and see if it ignites. Okay. Come on, get in there. Two, three. Oh. And 4. All right. Still not dropping down. Still a bit sticky. lube and see how that works out. For the life of me, I can't figure out what could have gotten in here, what that could have been. Oh well, back to the drawing board. Since they're not dropping out, let me see if I can figure something else out, and why it's sticking up here suddenly. That shouldn't be either. Maybe the gap needs adjusting. All right, gentlemen, stand by. Clean out my intake ports here. They seem to be pretty good. There was some crud that was up top as well, so I got that cleaned up. Still not spinning as freely as I want, but I imagine once I apply some power to it, the velocity is gonna kick those vanes out. So I had to resort to some other stuff. All right, the fuel lines and air lines. Let me see if I can get this puppy off of here. You are on pretty good. All right, let me break some lines and I'll get back with you. All right. I got the two fuel lines free up top, and the air line here is barbed on pretty well, so I'm actually just gonna pop it off with a 7/16. Make sure there's no blockage or anything in there. I don't expect that there is, but just for the heck of it. No obstructions there. I didn't think there was any issue with intake, but since I have it apart, just to make sure. Okay. Do it, and check my fuel lines here. I don't know if you can see them from that vantage point. A lot of this I'm in the way of it. Nothing in there. And no obstructions there. All right, so we'll slap these back together. All right, good to go there. Now I sprayed some brake cleaner down in there, and that sludge is, really loose, and I don't think it's going to take a whole heck of a lot to clean that out of there. I'm going to throw in a little acetone or something, maybe enough just to be able to pour it out. So we'll give that a shot. At this point, I'm going to reassemble it and try to rinse out the tank, rinse some of that sludge out, and then I'm going to put a little bit of kerosene in it and see what it does from that point. So reassembly is just the reverse. You know, it's really really quite simple. It's not bad at all. So we certainly know we need a filter. I'll goof it up here. Okay, now our filter. Clamps turned out to be too big. They were useless. So I just took the flat blade and broke the seal, sprayed some lubricant in there to loosen it up. Probably could have used an awl since the lines were so much smaller. Scratch awl probably would have been a little bit better to use. Replace our cover. And get it aligned. All right, reassembly is just that simple. Easy to take apart, easy to put back together. Let me get this tank rinsed out and I'll get right back with you. All right, I got it cleaned out enough to give it a trial run. I do have a small little chunk of something solid in there. A little small piece of rust, but for the most part, you know, it's much improved. Hold on, let me see if I can get you a better shot of that. So, got rid of a lot of the sludge that was sitting in there. Still some residual, but I think I might, if it comes down to it, I'll replace the atomizer as well. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I've got maybe a half a gallon of kerosene in there, fresh kerosene, maybe a little less. I don't know. I don't want to. Hopefully, it's just enough to try to ignite the damn thing, see if it'll kick off. But don't want to put a bunch in there, only to have to redrain it again. So let me give it a shot here. you haven't heard this in damn near a year. So don't panic. Let's see what happens. Alright, no dice. Alright, so I've cleaned it out. Alright, my next step is going to be that photo cell. Or, wait a minute. Let me make sure that rotor spins. Make sure I don't have to re-clean that. Hell, might be a rotor assembly that I need. Yeah. This is just as stiff again as before. It's about its loosest point. Try this at home, boys and girls. Nope. No dice. Alright, so let me take it back apart and figure out what the gap is supposed to be on the vanes. Although I don't know why it would shift and, you know, lose its gap. But I know there is a procedure, and if I can adjust that, you know, just to get it to spin freely, I'll give that a shot. Alright, hang tight. Alright, now with the cover off, I don't know if I put it back on too tight or what, but spins freely. However, the vanes aren't dropping, you know, to push in the air. Alright, there we go. One moving. Need to dry that back off or something. Alright, so that's where we're at so far. Stand by. Alright, I took it off and the rotor spins freely with the screws loose, but it's a little stiff with the screws tight. So I thought maybe that I had them on there too tight or something. I don't know. Then I think maybe it's thinking that it's empty, and then I was wondering the igniter didn't turn on, but I just tried it and it did actually start to glow. So see if that goes again. Okay, the igniter is glowing. Still too tight. There we go. So I didn't adjust the gap on the gauge, because once I took the cover off, you know, it spun freely. So it leads me to believe that, you know, there's not a problem with the gap. I don't know why it's sticking with the cover on, but not with it off. So the investigation continues. Well, I took the rotor off. I took this cover back off. No, got it. And the This thing had stuck itself to this surface, you know, like it was glued to it. And I've taken it off and cleaned it up again with some brake clean. So I'm going to see if some silicone will prevent that. We'll give that a shot. All right, I had to go look it up. Found that the gap was supposed to be 0.03 of an inch between the top of the pump housing and the rotor, and yeah, no gap. So I'm gonna adjust this gap and see where that gets us. Well, 3,000 is about all you're gonna get out of that, even once you make the adjustment. That's about the max you're gonna get in anything in there. So got the gap gauge in there and tightening up. I really need to replace these suckers, you know. They've gotten so rusty you can barely read them. This is a K-Star set. All right, spinning freely. Put the vanes back in. Let's see. There's a square edge and a round edge. And the round edge goes against the pump body surface. And I need my glasses. Let's see. Square edge. That's the round edge. Oh, and there's no lubricant that you put on here either. It's got to be dry. I don't know why it's stuck to the back of the plate like that. So I wanted to put some lubricant on it. Relax yourself, Shyla. Okay. Oh, looking at that one, trying to look at that wear surface. That one's hard to tell. Is that the round edge? Or is that one? I can hardly tell. All right, we'll call this one the round edge. It looks like there's wear on the bottom there. We'll give that one a shot. Okay. All right, that's promising. All right, they're falling like they should. All right, let's give it another shot. Hopefully it won't be seized up or won't stick and bind, you know, once I get it back together and get the screws back in. Where are you? Now that I've made adjustments, you know, the screw holes are a little bit different here. As it turns out, I never looked, never even thought about it, but there is a maintenance schedule for these heaters. Clean the fan at least once per season. What else did I see in the manual? Pump, replacing the filter, and there's a foam filter that goes right here that, you know, heck, I didn't even pay any attention to. Even looking at the kit, I thought it was a part that was on the back side of this side over here, but it's actually a foam. And I thought this was just filthy, but they're black. And there's a black one that goes here as well. so need the filter kit for sure. So far, so good. All right. There we have it. And I can even hear the vanes inside pushing air. All right. That's a little better. Now hopefully I've got enough fuel in here to have it ignite for me. Hope it doesn't think that it's empty. Packers have a bye, so I've got the, wasn't paying any attention. So I've got the Bears and Saints on. All right, let's try it again. Wish me luck. Doggone it. Look at me. Damn it. I hate when that happens. I hate when that happens, Shyler. Why didn't you tell me, hero? Why didn't you tell me I was leaving that off? All right, here we go.
But whatever he can do, and that's amazing to me, and that shows what he's capable of doing, and he's going to get better. He's a talented player. He's probably the Bears' most explosive offensive player as far as big playability. He just mistimed his jump. That hurt. Trubisky couldn't hold what he needed to do.
All right, here we go. All right.
What they're doing right now is like Trubisky is not getting the ball out in a hurry.
Gentlemen, we have ignition. Now all I need to do is add more fuel. Stand by. All right, let's give it another shot. Added some more kerosene and see if we have any success here.
Your words, not mine. Really? Because it's literally signed by Des Bryant.
All right, there we have it. Don't need any parts after all. Just needed to adjust that gap, clean out the pump assembly. Smoking. And whatever it was that was stuck in there is a mystery to me. And why the gap? I don't know. I guess maybe whatever was in there that caused it to stick and seize up, you know, threw the gap off. So back in action. All right, gentlemen. So didn't turn out to be a repair video; just turned out to be a service video. Learned a few things myself today on this one. All right, that'll conclude this video. Rob's Wrenches out. Peace.